Hello everyone, this is Nursky coming to you guys, doing a modsonline.com YouTube cast. No, I haven't gotten a lot of games up onto this YouTube as of recent, but frankly, I've been extremely busy lately, so been having to kind of try and prioritize things as best as possible without, totally neglecting anybody. So here we go, guys. Gonna be getting a cast up specifically for you guys. Obviously, anybody who checks on my YouTube will be able to see this under my favorites, as always. So let's get into the player introductions. First off, spawning as our Blue Zerg, one of my favorite guys to watch, always very creative, Dimaga. His opponent spawning as the Red Protoss. Not everybody may know this guy, but I think they're definitely going to eventually. Definitely one of the pioneers in Protoss gameplay over in South Korea, JYP. These are coming from the IEM China tournament this game. So it should be interesting to see how this game actually does play out. So if there's any kind of new tweaks on the ZVP matchup, very likely to see them, as this is a very recent game. You see JYP going to get the early scout off, know exactly where Dimaga's at, know exactly everything he's up to, be able to make sure he doesn't go for any kind of a hatch first type of play. As some Zergs do like to try and do that, but we do see Dimaga just going to throw it on his pool. Still could obviously go for like a 16 hatch or something like that, as we do see JYP gearing up to go with the old Forge Expand type of play. Pretty standard on this map for Protoss players to go with that Forge Expand. Not a whole lot Zerg can typically do in the early stages of the game. Sure, you can go for a Baneling Bust or something like that, but if the Protoss player can figure out that it's coming, typically they can fend it off pretty easily, so typically not the best way for Zergs to go. A lot of Zerg players will typically tend to just be a little more economic, might delay their gas a little bit on this map, like you see Dimaga doing right now, not taking any of his gases because he knows he's not going to need speed to deal with any kind of a 4-gate type of play typically on this map. So, pretty standard to see a Zerg just, stay more economic, not take gas too early, delay their tech a little bit, maybe take a third a little bit quicker. As the Protoss player behind a Forge Expand, they've got about 8 minutes into the game before they're really going to be able to put a lot of pressure on the Zerg player, so Dimaga definitely will have some time to react to this from an economic standpoint anyways. Do see that pylon block, JYP doing his best to delay this expansion by Dimaga. So long as humanly possible, Dimaga is going to be able to knock this pylon down now. It does cost JYP 100 minerals, so the block's not entirely free when you do let that pylon finish up. And it looks like Dimaga's going to immediately take a double expand here, so pretty smart standard move there by Dimaga. Surprisingly, JYP actually forgot to get an extra pylon down, so was supply blocked for just a moment there. Kind of a little bit of a minor mistake on his part, but a uncharacteristic mistake for somebody of his caliber to actually make kind of that type of a mistake and actually forget to get that pylon up before he is going to actually lose that pylon blocking the Zerg's base. Do see JYP still scouting around in the base of Dimaga here. Dimaga actually have pulled most of his lings back to scout around the map, or forward I should say. Does still have just this one single ling over here in his base. Obviously on creep will be able to chase down that probe. Should be able to do a lot of damage to it actually. So JYP definitely going to have to try and get that probe out of Dimaga's base as soon as possible, as does not look like it's going to actually make it back to his base. That ling eventually will chase it down and is going to take it out. Here comes the ling, and here comes the hit, and boom, there it goes. Do you see that Dimaga does have a single Overlord hanging out over here by JYP's base. Cybernetic score on the way. Dimaga can spot the Cyber Core, so he will know that he is pretty safe right now to leave that Overlord just hang out there. Spot any kind of tech that JYP might throw up anywhere near his natural. Would be smart JYP though, obviously, to throw tech inside of his main. Does have a couple of pylons going up, making sure to spread those pylons around so he does have good vision. Don't want to leave these blank, dark areas like this, as it always is potentially an option for Zerg players to try and rush out an Nidus, try and bum rush the Protoss player. Even with this triple expand, to be totally honest, if Dimaga decided to just start cutting drones and teching heavily, he definitely could potentially get Nidus up and do some damage if JYP doesn't have spotting. Nidus is very easy to deal with as long as you have spotting of them, so you can react to them the second that they go up. A couple of lings still just running around for Dimaga here. What you see he is taking both his gases now, so he is going to be starting to tech up to whatever type of play he is going to be going for in this matchup. Kind of waiting right now for JYP to decide what he's going to do. Just getting a lot of probes right now. We do see that he is getting the +1 upgrade for his ground weapon, so would not surprise me at all if he does go with a gateway type of response. Maybe either 5 gates, 6 gates, could be 7 gates. There's a lot of really different possibilities, but would be completely taken by surprise if he did not go with some kind of a gateway-based army, especially since he is chrono boosting out that fast upgrade. Now we do see 4 more gates getting added on here for JYP, or 3 more gates, I should say. So it's going to be going up to 4 gates total is what I was looking for. Would not be surprised to see him maybe add on another gateway or 2 pretty soon here, unless he's going to maybe decide to tech up a little bit in addition to having these gateways go up. But we'll be able to start to apply some pressure now with this +1 and that extra gateway. Meanwhile, Dimaga just doing what you should be doing as a Zerg player in this position. Getting a lot of drones out, boosting his economy. As you can see, he is right now sitting on 47 harvesters to the 41 of JYP. So pretty standard stuff so far there from Dimaga. Does have his layer about 75% done, so we'll be finishing up soon. Going to be going with the +1 missile attack, so would expect him to go with Roach Tech initially. Do see the Roach Warren is almost complete already. Probably going to be going Roach Ling, I'd say, with the fact that he is getting the metabolic boost upgrade to initially try and do some damage to JYP or hold any kind of pushes that JYP goes for. JYP now adding on a 5th gateway, so it's going to be going up to 5 gates before he actually does try and apply some pressure here to Dimaga. Pylon over there blocked from his base. Looks like JYP actually might be looking to turtle a little bit because he does have a probe with that army. Now, obviously, he could try and do a push with this army, press forward a little bit, maybe place a forward pylon, see if he can get some damage done. Maybe even take out Dimaga's 3rd if he can apply the right kind of pressure and catch Dimaga without enough units. Or we are going to have to wait and see. We do see that there is going to be a Twilight Council following up this play here by JYP, looking to see where he actually placed that building down. Haven't quite found it just yet, so he was trying to hide it. There's the Twilight Council. So we'll be able to get some more upgrades for his gateway units, or even go to DT or Templar Tech shortly following up. Now we do see him pushing in here. We'll trap a couple of roaches there. A couple of lings coming in. Will force JYP to throw on a couple of extra force fields, which does make these roaches actually a little bit more effective, as it did cut the zealots off from the rest of these sentries, and it did trap the sentries. This could actually end up going pretty terrible for JYP if he was to lose these sentries. Sentry count absolutely critical when a player is on a roach ling type of style. So we see JYP trying to get these sentries back home if he can, trying to save any force fields he can. Gonna peel off a couple of zealots. Always better to sacrifice the zealots and not the sentries if you can. And building up energy on these sentries can be absolutely huge for your defense. But we do see he has blocked himself out of his base with this pylon. Is going to need to take it down if he is going to get these sentries back into his base. Now loses one of the sentries to the roaches, throws down some force fields there. Here comes a bunch of stalkers to reinforce. Blink on the way, but not going to be completed anytime soon. +2 on the way as well. JYP will be able to hold off this attack, but did take quite a bit of damage there from Dimaga. Dimaga without roach speed though, so these roaches are going to have a hard time retreating from these stalkers, as they are going to be able to track these roaches down. Here comes a bunch of lings though, and JYP is going to definitely have to consider turning around, as without blink, it does leave those stalkers extremely vulnerable to the lings of Dimaga. So very good defense there by Dimaga. Ended up holding that attack quite nicely. We do see his 4th going down behind this as well, getting up some more spine crawlers to defend his bases, as well as taking some more of his gases. Some more tech on the way for Dimaga, as well as going to be getting an infestation pit, so going to be going a little bit of roach ling into some infester type of play for Dimaga. Do see that JYP almost has that blink upgrade completed, +2 attacks just about completed as well. Also is getting a robotics facility, so could use that just to get out and observe it or do some scouting and spotting for burrowed roaches. Also definitely could use it to eventually move to Colossus Tech and go with that more standard sentry Blink Stalker Colossus type of composition that you do see a lot of Protoss trying to get to, especially if they can get up to around 4 bases. Is an extremely potent combination that is very tough for Zerg players to deal with without teching up to something like an Infestor Broodlord based army. So now we do see right now Dimaga holding this watchtower up here, so he does have a little bit of vision of what JYP is up to. So he's not totally clueless. JYP does have blink now though, so he can use those stalkers to try and move forward. Looks like Dimaga is going to try and catch this one stalker. Sadly, a stalker already used its blink, so not going to be able to get away. Now Dimaga does not really have enough forces here to actually engage this army from JYP. He does have a lot of sentries in there, quite a bit of health power on there, so this would actually be a mistake by Dimaga to actually engage this army before he can get some reinforcements in here. But here comes some reinforcements from Dimaga. JYP going to need to put down some very good force fields to abuse the range of those stalkers over the roaches. Does manage to trap quite a few of them. Really should probably pull a couple of these sentries back so it doesn't actually lose them. Dimaga trying to get a good arc and angle to try and do some damage here to JYP, but JYP blinking his stalkers extremely effectively, and now is going to force Dimaga into a full retreat here, pulling back towards his third base. Fourth base is up, but has not even begun to saturate it yet. Some infestors on the way that will help Dimaga deal with these blink stalkers quite a bit, as blink stalkers absolutely tons less effective when you can freeze them in place with fungal growth. So it's going to be absolutely essential for Dimaga to have these infestors with his composition to deal with these stalkers, but obviously going to have to transition to something else in the not too distant future if JYP does go to something like Colossus Tech or to even Templar Tech. It will get quite a bit harder for him to deal with JYP's attacks with just a Roach, Ling, and Infestor-based army, especially with the recent Neuroparasite nerf. A lot harder for Zerg players to use Neuroparasite, a lot harder to get range on stuff like Colossus, so we'll have to wait and see how this pans out. But we do see JYP right now. No Colossus just yet, although he does have that Robotics support bay going down over here somewhere in his base. Don't know where he's exactly hiding at. Looks like he's going to be hiding it back over here. So the robotics bay is going down, so he will be moving to Colossus Tech shortly, but it's going to be a little while before he does have Colossus Tech out. You see a couple of roaches chasing these sentries over here. And now a blink into the main over here by JYP using an observer, trying to get to the main of Dimaga if he can, but Dimaga actually going to surround this army over here at the top ground, will force JYP to blink back. So JYP with a very smart move, took down these rocks over here, got into the base of Dimaga, tried to do a little bit of damage, but really didn't get a whole lot done. If we do look at the workers killed, you can see neither one really doing a whole lot of damage economically. Looks like JYP is not done with his attack. It was blinking now back up into the base of Dimaga. Dimaga needs to be careful, as he could actually lose his spawning pool to these stalkers, and I do believe he is in fact going to lose it. Yes, it does go down, and then JYP smartly just blinks them all back out and retreats. Here come some infestors. They will be able to fungal growth these stalkers to actually freeze them in place. You see Dimaga trying to gear up for a counterattack over here. You do see that JYP is going to fall back to his third to defend it. Now those stalkers trying to blink around the map, abuse blink in any way they can, try and do some damage to Dimaga, but I do believe he is going to have an extremely hard time getting these stalkers out of here. Probably will at least lose this group of stalkers, as they really don't have a lot of places they can go. Here comes some more Lings now over here to attack these stalkers. We'll try and probably blink them out of here, but the rest of Dimaga's army is very close by, so I'd be very surprised if these stalkers can actually get out of the base of Dimaga without getting absolutely destroyed. So you see Dimaga actually not really reacting to these stalkers. Might actually let them go, so it looks like Dimaga is going to try and press over here at the third, but great force fields go down there by JYP. Does stop most of the army from actually getting up the ramp. Now throwing in some infested Terran to try and get them spotting on the high ground and to pull those sentries back. But now here finally comes the army of Dimagas. No sentries left here for JYP to actually force field that off, and it does look like JYP might actually be in danger of losing this base. There's too many Lings, too many infestors, and especially too many infested Terran. But here comes a Colossus now to try and support the army here of JYP. Now Dimaga really doesn't have any good way to deal with this just yet. Does not have Neural Parasite, no Corruptors or anything like that in sight. But right now, without many gateway units to support this Colossus, Dimaga may actually be able to take this down. Does get the Nexus at the third, so a huge, huge thing there for Dimaga to be able to take that out. Here comes a bunch more infestors now moving in. Should be able to actually fungal and freeze this Colossus in place. But the Colossus right now trying to fight off the infested Terran will save the Colossus. Now we see Dimaga trying to retreat these infestors to save them for another battle. And JYP is left with no third now. So this is definitely a huge move for Dimaga. You can see right now that there is a huge discrepancy in total value of army right there. 146 supply to just the 81 supply JYP. So this is actually looking pretty terrible for JYP. Dimaga does have this fourth base. Really hasn't utilized it that much just yet. Instead was building a lot of army with very few drones. You can see right now 68 harvesters, but actually has a lot of them piled up over here at his natural. Quite a few of them just on a couple of minerals over here in his main, and then quite a few more of them were in his third. So just now finally getting a lot of these extra drones that weren't really doing a whole lot transferred over here to his fourth base, and is going to be getting up his fifth as well. We do see right now JYP trying to position himself to try and do some more damage with these Blink Stalkers, try and buy himself some time. Dimaga does have quite a fearsome army right now. If he actually pushed JYP, I do not believe JYP would really be able to hold right now with the amount of army that he actually does have back at his base. I do not think Dimaga is really aware of it completely though, although we do see Dimaga double expanding here, expanding up here to this northern base base and also was expanding down his spawn base. Was forced to cancel it though as these stalkers came in. Do see Dimaga trying to get over here to trap these stalkers. I do not believe he's going to be able to do it though. I do believe that JYP will just blink these stalkers out of here. Yes, does manage to blink them out of there and will just retreat for now. Dimaga with all his forces over here. Might need to actually try and split up his forces a little bit to deal with these blink stalkers a little bit better. JYP, I'm not really sure what he's doing here moving these stalkers for it now. He obviously has vision. Going to waste the fungal growth there on just that one stalker. I think JYP just wants to really threaten to attack these bases. Dimaga might be better off just actually leaving a couple of forces behind and actually trying to apply some more pressure to JYP instead of letting him get up this third. So I think this is a little bit of a strategic mistake by Dimaga. As we do see right now, JYP just increasing Colossus counts. Finally has his third base back up. But now we do see that Dimaga has gotten his Spire down. Does have his Hive Tech on the way. Do see that Greater Spire now morphing in for Dimaga, so no normal Parasite, just going to be going straight to Infester and Broodlord Tech. Now, obviously, there will be a slight portion of time here where Dimaga is going to be a little bit weaker, but I think he should be okay just because he is so far ahead in just sheer numbers from JYP, especially since JYP did lose that third initially and had to take a new one. So Dimaga definitely does have an opening here to be making this transition, but right now his army is going to be quite a bit weaker as he does have a lot of Corruptors, and until he can actually mutate a lot of them into the Broodlords, they're not going to be extremely effective against this army of JYP. So JYP will have a slight advantage for just a moment, but right now we do see that Dimaga going to be moving in with all of those Corruptors, going to try and thin out the Colossus count of JYP, and this could be huge. Huge loss for JYP as we do see all of his Colossus going down. Those Corruptors doing the damage they need to do. A lot of Infested Terran and Fungal Growths going down here to try and trap JYP's army, and JYP could actually be in a lot of trouble. Now down 81 supply to the max army of Dimaga. Going to be just waiting to morph these Broodlords when that Greater Spire does finish up. And there's the GG. Dimaga's not going to even need it. Excellent play by Dimaga. Will take this game over JYP. So after all that talk I gave about JYP being one of the best up-and-coming Protosses, Dimaga just comes out here and really just shows them what is what. Excellently played game by Dimaga. Very interesting, very aggressive style by Dimaga. Really cut a lot of typical macro stuff that you'd see a lot of Zerg do in response to the Protoss when he was taking a third. Dimaga actually wasn't really even anywhere near the macro-oriented state that JYP is in, and JYP really got caught off guard by Dimaga, and Dimaga really made him pay for it by knocking out that third base with really just a lot of low-cost but massed units before he actually really went to mass saturate the rest of his new bases. So excellent play there by Dimaga. Very smart play by Dimaga. Ended up paying off for him well. So congrats to him. Great game by both players. Thanks for watching the cast, guys. Please subscribe, of course, and I will see you guys at my next cast.